as I said earlier, we do have a number of people involved with the film. Several of the folders here, the writer, director, executive producer. I'd like to introduce Vanessa Gould. And if you have any questions, there's a microphone up here so we can record this. It's going to be on YouTube later.
Well, first, thanks to everybody here, and Paul and Brian. It's a real pleasure, and I'm flattered that you were able to make this happen today. I don't want to take up too much time myself, because really the people who you want to ask the questions to are the artists who are in the back. So first, actually, I'll call up Sally Rosenthal. She's the executive producer, and she's an amazing person. And then Bernie Payton. You guys should just get up, like, is that informal? Yeah. Chris, Jeremy, Robert, Michael, Richard.
I think this is critical. Is this more than maybe one gathering in New York was?
We've had a couple. You guys
this is
actually
very
are,
special.
Yeah, this is quite special to have all these people here. We have a bunch of local, which really helped, but there's an enormous amount of brain talent right here.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And many of them have actually brought some of their work. I know Chris Palmer has some new things to show you.
I'm displaying one of them. I forgot, actually, and had it on when I walked up.
And Michael has Wilbur, and I think Chris also has a flower tower here.
And Jeremy has stuff that wasn't. Jeremy wasn't in the movie and has a whole bunch of stuff. He's a local origami performer. And does anybody else have show and tell? Okay.
You got some paper.
Okay. So,
excuse me, we need to talk into the mic so we can get to use it.
sorry. This mic right
That
here?
mic, yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Hats? Questions?
So, yeah, let's just open it up to questions.
Who's the paper maker? Is it?
Oh, yes, that's
Wait,
Richard and...
you two, I mean, Mike.
Can you describe what's involved in making paper and what's special about the paper that's used for this?
Sure. When I first became inspired to become an origami artist, it was because of the work of Akira Yoshizawa, who you saw in the film. And his work just had that artist touch. So I tried to do this as a young boy with ordinary paper, and it wasn't working. First I thought it was me, and then I thought, maybe it's the paper. I luckily lived in a paper-making town, so I began to study it, and then realized that there's chemistry involved, and material selection, and paper forming techniques. So over the years, my three goals in the paper making, starting from age 16, were the foldability. I wanted it to respond to my touch so that it worked like playing a fine instrument. I could put the expression that I wanted. I wanted the works to last a long time. You know, you put a lot of work into these things, and maybe people buy them, and they should not crumble and fade. And then the third thing, of course, was that I wanted to be able to do this whenever I really needed it. I had to set myself up to make paper on demand. So I did a lot of research. Essentially, we use plant fibers, abaca, which is from a banana plant, or hemp, really good, long, strong stuff like they use in paper money. You grind that up in water, and then you can color it. We use permanent pigments. You float this stuff in water and use various size screens to screen out layers of pulp, thinner or thicker. Press it and dry it, and you've got paper. So our paper can be as thin as tissue and as strong as paper money at the same time. Wilbur is folded from thicker paper, and when we fold the paper, we moisten it slightly sometimes. That's called wet folding. You can see the stylistic difference. But that's, you know, in a nutshell, what the paper making is all about. And Richard's our other paper making master.
Most people associate origami with origami paper, which was developed in the 1800s to support the Freudville kindergarten program, where they did a lot of paper folding in Europe, and then it spread through the US and Japan. And sure, you can make origami from anything that you can fold, but to make origami art, you need to use artist materials that are going to last. That's the difference.
Other questions?
I'm submitting, this is San Francisco.
Oh, hi, San Francisco.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
I've been submitting a few to the Dory as well, but I can ask them live if you prefer.
Why don't you go ahead and ask it live?
Okay. And by the way, friends, yes, if you're listening, we can't see we can't see the artist. We can just see the empty podium. So I've seen.
I could be the face.
Yeah, why don't we all scoot over?
Yeah.
I've seen some images around floating around the internet by artists who, instead of fold paper, they just make creases, and they use these creases in such a way to make usually a representational scene. Have you seen this type of art? That again, instead of actual folds, they're just like minor creases in what remains a flat piece of paper. And do you consider that origami?
Have you guys seen that?
Chris, that would
Whoever's
be
gonna answer, take the mic
tessellations.
and be in.
So just the crease pattern and then it's folding up to make a geometric pattern, or what is it making in the end?
No folding. Usually it looks like a room or maybe like an outdoor scene. I mean, lots of kind of it tries to use painterly three-dimensionality, but again, they're not really folds. It's just a series of creases on otherwise flat pieces of paper that create a picture or something like that, but it doesn't actually fold up in any leaf.
I've seen that.
Yeah, kind of.
Jeremy, why don't you, since you've seen it, and you
Robert should probably have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Robert.
Speak in the mic, please.
Okay.
So I've seen this,
You want to
and
introduce yourself?
oh, sorry, I'm Robert Lang, and so I'm one of the artists in the film. I've seen this, and for those who haven't, it's low relief. Effectively, they're scoring the paper. The artist is scoring, making shallow creases in the paper, and so the image that you get comes from both the fold lines itself and the slight changes in angle of the paper when lit appropriately give heightened contrast, so you see representational images. And to me, everyone has a different definition of origami. My definition of origami is it's an art form where folds are the primary means of creating the structure. So that doesn't have any rules about whether it's one or two sheets or whether you can or can't cut. But folding has to be primary. And so in my view, that type of folding, as well as the non-deterministic folding, or otherwise known as crumpling, of Vincent Floderère, is, in fact, another branch of origami.
I think that that was a very evasive answer. I think the root of the question is, how are they made? Is that correct?
Well, that's another interesting question. I think you both addressed.
And I have my own, I mean, who knows for sure, but I looked at them really carefully, and I would suggest that there's some sort of laser work, scoring. That's just my own personal opinion, but I have no proof, so everybody's up to their own personal interpretation.
If I could add something to that very quickly.
Well,
the word origami is gradually, in my opinion, becoming equal to the word music. By the way, I'm Michael LaFosse, the paper maker, designer too. And today, we realize that whatever anyone wishes to call music, or even the word art for that reason, might really be up to their own decision. So when Robert mentioned that, the thing that occurred to me is I wonder what the folks who actually make that work of art wished to or decided to call it. That might be a bit more interesting to hear, their answer of what they're calling it. Maybe they don't want to call it origami. I don't know. I think of it as origami because, as Robert said, if its primary expression is folds in paper, no matter the method of getting them into the paper, that can categorically be origami, like the word music.
Do you want to go to another question? Or?